You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 91 of East Central Indiana's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell, and today we're joined by co-hosts Dakota Davis, Chase, Peyton, and Chris Guffey sitting in today.
Today's episode is going to be featuring our guest, Mr. Jim Lucas, who is the District Number 69 State Representative for the state of Indiana. We're going to be talking to him about the legislation that he's proposed, specifically a couple pieces that he proposed last year in 2018, and we're going to be talking about his goals for the 2019 legislative session as well. So make sure you stick around till the end to hear about that.
Awesome. So this show is supported by our Patreon group. So patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. That's what pays the bills, pays for the studio, takes care of us. If you're a Patreon member, you do get extra access and extra content. You will notice tonight that there was a little audio file that dropped in. It was emailed to everybody. Chris Guffey is going to be challenging Cade Coger. Cade and Logan Cook, the MMA style Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, who was on last week. They rolled for the Patreon people last week, and now Chris, you're going to do that next week.
Yeah,
or sometime.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I have $10. He lasts a minute.
We're taking action already.
Yeah, we are.
All right. So one more real quick thank you. We've got to thank Jerry Williams here at the top of the show. She supported us on the Amazon wish list. Looked around the studio today, and Dakota has done incredible work. We got new sound tiles up. Jerry sent us some corner sound tiles.
Yeah,
those are all up on the walls.
She finished out buying all of the corner sound tiles that we needed for the studio. So our acoustics in here sound amazing now. Sound a lot better than they did before, and I think we're about as close to perfect as we can. So thank you, Jerry, for that. Also, she sent us a really cool note about us keeping motivated, and it's always good to hear feedback like that from listeners.
Absolutely. All right, so we do have Jim on the line. Jim Lucas is the state representative from I guess is District 69, Jim?
Yes, Seymour.
Seymour. So it's Seymour, North Vernon, kind of down Jennings County, down in that part of the world, right?
Yes, sir.
So the first time Jim Lucas ran across my radar, he probably has no recollection of this, but in 2012, it was the fall, you were running for state rep. It was you were seeking your first term, and you were in North Vernon at the theater. There was we listened to every county council, county commissioner, state representative. I was running around with Rex Bell. I was working with his congressional campaign at the time, and I was a state rep candidate, District 54 up north. But Rex is running for Congress, so I followed him down there, and I heard this guy Jim Lucas talk, and every answer he gave was right in line with the platform and the things I was running for. So I heard you speak. Rex finished up. We were at the end of the night. And we went backstage, and I got in line to talk to Jim and tell him all about the Libertarian Party. And he said, "Don't worry about it." Rex told me, "Don't worry about it. We already talked, and Jim's one of our guys."
Yeah, liberty and freedom are pretty easy things to believe in. It's just, if you're willing to be intellectually honest and accept the responsibilities that come with it, it's the greatest thing on earth. Protecting it's the hard part. So what got you into to be motivated? You're a small business owner, right? So is that what led you into seeking the office and finally putting your name on the ballot? Actually, it's kind of an odd story. I used to be, couldn't care less about politics. I, wasn't involved and just indifferent. Not that I was against it, but just wasn't really into it. But our city council, this was back in, I believe, 2007, 2006, they were discussing passing a smoking ban in our town. And I don't smoke. I have, a good cigar every once in a while. Yeah. But the me off that the government could tell me what I could and couldn't do with my property. So I started going to city council meetings, and one of the councilwomen at large, we had a spirited discussion going on, and I just flat out asked her, I said, so you mean to tell me as a small business owner I could be working late of an evening, standing in my doorway, having a beer and smoking a cigar, and a policeman can drive onto my property and issue me a ticket? And she said yes. And the second the word yes come out of her mouth, I told myself, I'm running against you. Because, that ticked me off. And the way I looked at it, if she could do it, I could do it. Or if the rest of them up there, were making those decisions, why not me? So I went home and told my wife, I said, hey, I think I'm going to run for city council. And she laughed. She said, you're an idiot. So... Well, next thing you know, I put my name on the ballot. I had no clue what I was doing, but I had strong enough name ID. I won that election. And then it was amazing because Seymour is just like any other small town. You've got, a lot of great people that really care about the community, and they run for office, but there were, more often than not, the votes were unanimous at 7-0, 7-0. And I started research, and when I would speak up, and still to this day, when I vote no, I say, on this issue, I'm going to vote no, and here's my reason I'm going to vote no, and here's my solution. And next thing you know, we started moving the clock a little bit and making some headway and getting some things changed. And after that, I saw that one person speaking out could make a difference, and so I got bit by the bug and ran for state. I ran in 2010. But got close, but no cigar, and ran in 12 and won that one. I've been up there ever since. So that's my foray into politics.
So in 2012, was it an open seat, or did you have to beat somebody, or you have to defeat an incumbent?
No, that was the year that they changed districts, and the incumbent at that time was going to run. It was odd because Thursday, I got a call from the local newspaper and asked, hey, you're running against a pretty entrenched incumbent. How do you feel? And I'm like, good. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I'd take it right at him. And the following Tuesday, I got a call from the paper saying that they had dropped out. So
wow.
Like on the Republican ticket, I think he saw the writing on the wall, and how that turned out. So there was another person ran on the Democrat ticket, so we ran that fall, and we won pretty well. I mean, we have a strong message, and it's one that reaches across the aisle, and I hate playing politics. I don't believe in Republican, Democrat, or anything like that. It's either statist or individual. That's how I view government.
So in your time in the Statehouse, I guess there are a couple of issues that you have been highlighting, and they've all been freedom issues or liberty type issues.
Sure.
You've been very interested in hemp and cannabis and both medical and you've been researching that issue significantly, taking trips and trying to be out in front with, I guess Senator Talion has also taken that one up.
She's had it for years. I just got involved in this a couple years ago when the CBD issue, and there was another issue I was indifferent on. I didn't know that much about it, but either way, if that's what somebody wants to do, let them do it. But when the state got into that mess, we couldn't figure out if it was legal or illegal, and that was embarrassing. And then there was a family, the Jerger family, their daughter was having up to about 200 seizures a day. And they had pretty much blown through all traditional forms of medicine, and the side effects were just really debilitating for their daughter. And they discovered CBD, and it pretty much, they went from 200 seizures a day to, I think, 4, almost none. But then the Department of Child Services got involved and threatened to take their daughter away from them because they were, using non-traditional methods. And Senator Messmer stepped in at that time and kind of cooled things off a little bit, but that really got my attention. And the more I educated myself on CBD, the more I became convinced that, that was the right way to go. We should be, I hate to say legalizing it because that implies that the government is in control. I would much rather use the word decriminalize. Why are we criminalizing good people that are just searching for a better quality of life?
And that was,
and then
the CBD issue was one where public sentiment really kicked in a hurry a couple of years ago when the state police started raiding grocery stores.
Sure. Again, and that was embarrassing. And then people, small business owners were losing their livelihood, and people weren't getting the relief anymore that they had found in something that's natural. And basically, Hoosier farmers had been growing for years. And then that education process naturally segued into the cannabis issue. And I am 100% committed and full throttle on both of those issues right now because it just makes so much sense. And after becoming known, I keep a pretty open Facebook page, but I have literally had hundreds, if not thousands of people send me their personal stories telling me how much they've been helped by this. And, when you hear that, and even though some of the naysayers in opposition, they'll say, oh, that's just anecdotal evidence, I don't care. That's people having a better quality of life. So that's a fight that I will gladly take on, and we're going to win this.
So what brought you into this was the CBD oil, and then that took you down the path of looking at hemp and medical cannabis. That's just kind of been a natural evolution since you joined the Statehouse? Yes.
That's it, exactly.
All right, very good. We're playing with some audio adjustments over here. So that Dakota just tried to make an adjustment, and he cut the audio out completely there for a second. I've got you back. All right. So then, and today, I guess, it's not been signed into law yet, but one of the barriers to hemp in the state of Indiana, our state senator here is Jean Leising, who chairs the Ag Committee. And
yes.
we've had this conversation with her a number of times. And what she has gone back to is the federal prohibition on industrial hemp, saying the state
not there anymore.
Right. So the ag bill that is going to be signed into law, that excuse is gone now.
That's gone. Absolutely. And you know what? I like Senator Leising. She's a great woman. She's done a lot of great things. But on this issue, the people that are against it, I just don't see that they have a leg to stand on. It simply doesn't make sense. And especially, once you take your time to educate yourself between the difference of industrial hemp and cannabis, there really is, again, it's inconceivable how you could be against this.
So we've talked about this from a market side as well on this show over the last year and a half. You're the fourth state legislator to join our program. Senator Kreider's been on, State Representative Wright has been on, and then Representative Saunders has been on. And we at the beginning of last year we kind of previewed the cycle, knowing the CBD thing was coming, and we had a lot of conversations over the last year over industrial hemp and trying to open up markets for our agriculture community. We're very strongly listened to. We call ourselves the number one tractor podcast or combine podcast in Indiana. A lot of the guys listening are in tractors running beans or corn, and they're looking for other markets and other places they can use their product. So potentially industrial hemp is that path for some of those folks.
Sure. Oh, it's huge. When you look at what other states are doing with, and not just growing it, it's nice. From what I understand, it's really good for your soil. It takes a lot of the bad things out and adds nutrients. And if nothing else, it offers an option for a crop rotation, which is good. Let the farmers decide. Let them see what works out best for them. But from there are so many uses of hemp and hemp byproducts. I mean, it's just unreal. I did an interview at the Statehouse today with David Williams on Channel 8, and I keep up in my office a door panel made out of hemp. And there's a auto parts manufacturer here in Indiana that is manufacturing auto parts, panels like that with hemp, and he's buying 40 tons a week from overseas. And to just keep that one manufacturer supplied would take a farm of about 4,000 acres, is what I'm told. And, that's just in auto parts. So you look at Indiana's the number one manufacturing state in the nation. We're one of the top agricultural states in the nation. And on top of that, the icing on the cake is we have Purdue University, which is one of the top technology and agricultural universities on the planet. So, if I were running the show, you give me those three things, and I would make sure the agencies that were in charge of that, they were wanting to work with our farmers, and not just the farmers, but the processors, the investors, people that want to come in, the retailers, the manufacturers. With hemp, you can make clothing, you can make food, obviously CBD, medicine, call it whatever you want. But there are so many uses for the hemp plant that it's literally, I don't know that there's any limits to it. And the fact that we're the crossroads of America with our location as a state and with our experience, there's no reason Indiana can't be the number one hemp state in the nation.
We've been challenged by the folks down south in Kentucky, where they embraced this about 5 years before Indiana finally got to it.
Bring it. I mean, they're good people. You know what? And Brian Furnish, he was president of the Hemp Council down there, and I've met with several state officials, their ag commissioner, Quarles. They have been nothing but just incredibly helpful, and I cannot say enough great things about them. But it's a friendly rivalry. I keep teasing Brian and the guys down there that, one of these days we're going to pass you up. And Brian, of course, kids me. He said, we're going to be so far ahead of you guys by the time you get your heads out of your rear and figure this out that there's going to be no catching them. So, challenge accepted. So Kentucky, here we come. But Colorado, I believe they planted 29,000 acres this year, and they're bumping up to 40,000, I believe, next year. I flew out to Colorado earlier this summer and met with some of their state officials and senators. And it's just, they've embraced it. And that's the key to this. We have to get our leaders to embrace this issue. It's kind of frustrating from a constitutionalist limited government position, that we're spending tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to try and attract new businesses to come in here and retrain people. This is something we wouldn't have to spend a dime on. Just get the hell out of everybody's way and let it happen.
It's just a government prohibition that's standing in the way of a potential cash crop.
As government does so well in so many things.
And at the same time, we've got we unfortunately in this tariff war, the ag community has this is a huge opportunity for those guys.
Oh, it's unreal. And that's the thing too, guys. You don't get opportunities like this that often. When you get a whole new industry that's coming in, and now that I had legislation last year, I believe there were 10 pieces of legislation that dealt with the CBD issue. Mine was the only one that dealt with hemp. And what it did, it set up the infrastructure in Indiana and allowed for the whole plant to be utilized. And I had so many people contact me, people willing to invest. I mean, they were ready to write checks for tens of millions of dollars to come to our state. And then that bill just went south really quick, and it was frustrating. I ended up killing it myself because I didn't want a bad bill out there, because you get a bill out there and they tend to take on a life of their own, and I would just rather start fresh this year. But had my bill passed in its original form last year, we got it out of the House unanimously. Everything would have been in place. We would have been sitting just ready to go, ready for the green flag to drop and let the race begin. But here we've got to start over. But that's in the past. I want to look forward and see what we can do and get Indiana positioned, take advantage of this opportunity.
So when you're dealing with the hemp issue, going into the long session that's coming up, do you have a bill that'll be introduced just dealing with industrial hemp, and then another one
Yes.
that looks at medical marijuana? There's separate issues, I assume.
Yes. Completely separate. I mean, you've got a sedan automobile and a pickup truck. They're both vehicles, but completely different.
And what obviously there was a summer study committee this last cycle. Do you have an indication from leadership? Are you going to get assigned to committees that are actually going to work on the bills, and they've got a potential to become law at the end of this process?
What are we talking about here? Hemp or cannabis?
Let's start with hemp, and then we'll talk cannabis on the back end, I guess.
Yes, on the hemp, it's basically a remake of last year's legislation, which it was recognized as being one of the best pieces of hemp legislation in the nation. I had a law firm out in Colorado that deals specifically on those issues, cannabis and hemp. And, they know what's going on in each state. And that's the beautiful part on both issues. Now, I want to be careful to not confuse or mix the issues, so I will spell that out when I talk about it. But on both of those issues, we took best practices from the states that are doing it. And, we learn from their mistakes. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to. Again, Kentucky bent over backwards trying to help me out. They gave me so many good pointers and tips and things to look at, things, pitfalls, mistakes that they had made. And they didn't want us making the same mistakes. They were just great people down there. And we rolled that into a great piece of legislation, and it got through, and it just, it just didn't work out. So I'm bringing that back this year, and we kind of tweaked that with the assumption that the Farm Bill, the hemp language in the Farm Bill would pass. So basically, we've kind of transitioned into more of setting up a regulatory structure, for hemp and giving some guidelines on that. So I hate to say I'm 100% confident, but I'm 100% confident that Indiana is going to be doing something with hemp this year. And if we don't, there needs to be some heads on the chopping block on that, because it's too good of an opportunity. We have too much potential to do too many good things to not take advantage of the hemp opportunity.
Will that? I've lost my microphone. Dakota Tech, see what you can get us.
So, with the moving forward with the hemp, I guess I'm kind of lost because I've been trying to mix with all the audio, but I do want to talk about marijuana legalization and your bill that you authored last year, which was House Bill 1106.
Yes.
Which dealt with medical marijuana. The language in it was something that I absolutely adored whenever you wrote it, talking about just permitting all of the cultivation. Yes, I have it right in front of me, and it's the cultivation, the dispensing, and the use of medical marijuana by people with serious medical conditions. It requires the State Department of Health to implement and enforce the medical marijuana program, and it also prohibits the discrimination against medical marijuana users and prevents local law enforcement from working with the federal government, where it's still illegal, to bring prosecution down onto persons who are trying to use medical marijuana here.
Sure.
So, what's been your biggest motivation behind medical marijuana?
It saves. Well, number one, it saves lives. We've seen JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, has a report, and you go on there, if anybody has a computer, Google it right now, just put JAMA, medical cannabis, opioid deaths, and it'll show you the states that have medical cannabis have seen an average 25% reduction in opioid deaths, and that's average. Some states have seen higher. And when you look at Indiana, we're in the midst of an opioid epidemic, and last year our numbers were greater than they were the year before. And I believe there are 1,840 Hoosiers, I believe, that overdosed last year. Even if we just did the average, if we saw the average, that's 450 Hoosier lives that could have been saved in 1 year. 2 years, you're talking 1,000 lives. It doesn't take very long before you can rack up, and you're saving literally thousands of lives, but by just getting the hell out of the way of a product that mankind has been using for thousands of years. 33 other states now have it. California, took this on in 1996. So there's 22 years of history, research, and science here on the American continent of a state that has it. Okay, and the beautiful thing about cannabis, you cannot physically die from an overdose on cannabis. I tried. I went to Colorado. I went to Colorado, and I wanted to see for myself. I wanted to compare hangovers, an alcohol hangover compared to a cannabis hangover. And I gave it a world-class effort, and I got to the point where I literally could not do anymore. But I was still, I was still coherent, still functional, could still think, couldn't, I was very comfortable and relaxed. So I went to bed, and I'm like, okay, see what tomorrow morning's going to be. Slept like a baby. Best night's sleep I think I've ever had in my life. I woke up before the alarm went off. And the cool thing was I woke up zero hangover. And the amazing thing was how good I felt. And I felt good because I'm 54. I'm hard on my body. I ache all the time. I eat a leaf like it's candy, which is not good for your liver, but that's what we're stuck with right now, thanks to our government. But I woke up and I felt good, and I was refreshed, relaxed. I was in a good mood. Okay, when you're in a good mood, you're fun to be around. And so, and that right there just solidified it for me. I'm like, why in the hell are we criminalizing this, plant?
So are you having to go to Michigan now, Jim, on the weekends to get relief? Is that what you're telling us?
Well, yeah, guys, I'm not going to give all my secrets out.
Because I've heard,
no, but it's sadly here we
are watching I-69 real tough right now.
Well, the thing is, that road money, we are going to have to add 3 and 4 lanes to not just Michigan, but now Illinois. Incoming Governor-elect Pritzker, he's made it one of his priorities for Illinois to go recreational. And don't forget, Canada is not that far away. You have a whole country to the north of us that's just, we are surrounded by people that have woken up, and they're in the 21st century. I've made the joke before, and it's kind of sad. 2019 next year, that gives me 81 years to drag Indiana kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
I laugh all the time at the stories that I see coming. The state police or the local media they'll send out a press release, or you'll see it in the local paper where you've had some bust of, I call them tourists, somebody that came from Colorado and is going to another legal state on the East Coast potentially, and they made the sorry mistake of getting stopped on I-70 here in Henry County, and next thing you know, they're in our county jail and they're taking up resources because they had a plant that was legal in 30 states.
Sure. Yeah, and the thing is, I think it's 33 now that have medical, and I point this out: truth, facts, reason, and logic. And if you're ever on my Facebook page, I say that as much as possible. But the facts are that of the states that have adopted medical, not one has rescinded it. I mean, not one. Now, that's not to say that they don't have issues, starting out, and there's hiccups and speed bumps and things like that. But smart legislators figure it out, and people willing to be intellectually honest and see the benefits of this. And we have to be cautious, though. This isn't the magic wand. It's not the end-all, be-all to everything. And, you have to be careful with it. But, again, compared to many of the prescription medications that we're forced to deal with today, you don't see on cannabis may cause thoughts of suicide, or your body builds up a tolerance like a leaf, which eventually can destroy your liver, or so many other side effects.
I think we worked out whatever our audio problem was, and we got it fixed. So, Jim, if you've got us on the live stream, if you can mute it on your side, I think we're getting a touch of feedback, but I think we finally have solved our audio issue for the people watching the live stream.
People watching on Facebook can actually hear us now.
The podcast will be fine, but the people watching the live stream have been yelling at us.
Is this better?
We've been playing audio engineer over here, but I think we've got it solved now. So we should be good.
I think the problem. I'm watching you guys. I only see one beer bottle on the table.
Well, that's my beer bottle, and I would have more, but it's a comedy of errors tonight. My microphone has already quit, so I stole Chris's, and my little my headset splitter. I'm holding it in my right hand underneath the table because it fell off of the table. So everything, it's always a work of progress over here.
We're very good at looking professional on the surface, Jim, is what we're trying to say.
It's probably one of those where you look good, but under the table you might not be wearing any pants. It's a cluster.
I'll take your word for it on the pants.
No, I've got them. I wore them on. I even wore slacks today. I'm all fancy.
So Jim, tell me, as you've been researching medical marijuana and just marijuana in general across the state, what has the feedback been for Hoosiers that you talk to?
Oh my God, this has been one of the wildest trips. It's been really cool because I'm kind of a unique position. I'm known as the gun nut guy, so I'm the really right-wing, far-right radical person, that unreasonable and stuff like that because of my unwavering stance on our gun rights. So many on the left really, that there's not a whole lot of love. But they also realize, that because the left and the Democrats, who greatly respect, this has always been one of their issues, and you just don't hear that many Republicans talking about it. And if they did, they weren't very vocal about it.
Right.
But hats off to Senator Talion and, Representative Arrington. They've been working years on this issue, but just the simple fact that Republicans have a supermajority in both chambers, their issues never really got any traction. Well, I believe in this 100%, and I was raised, you need to go full throttle on stuff that you believe in, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm committed to it. We started getting traction, and the fact with, my Facebook page. We get a lot of people that interact on there, and sometimes that can be very interesting. But once I became known for it, people started sending me their stories. And like I said, that touches your heart when you hear people that tell you their personal stories. I've had people, one of the neatest things, I had an elderly gentleman stopped in my business, and he was crying. And he said, "I just want to shake your hand." I'm like, "For what?" It's kind of odd. And he said, I've taken every kind of medication I know what to take for pain, but nothing works. And I smoke marijuana every day. And he said, "It's the only thing that makes me feel good, and I can be productive when I take it." And he said, "I'm tired of feeling like a criminal, and it's so good to see this, people talking about it." Yeah. Well, one of the most brutal control groups ever for something like this 3 years ago is elderly conservative Republicans. If you were at a town hall meeting or something like that and you bring up the word marijuana, they would have run you out of there on a rail. But again, the key was educating myself just enough where I could speak about the issue somewhat intelligently, and I continue to educate myself as much as possible. But I was telling the people, and elderly, that group is one of the fastest growing groups to accept it, because they're very sensitive to many of these prescription drugs. The side effects can have tremendous effect on them, opioids, but they found cannabis, and once they get past the stigma of the only way you can ingest it is smoking, there's edibles, which is a great way for the elderly. Vape pens, which are much nicer. You have creams, inhalers. There are just so many different ways to get in your system. And the fact that they can figure out their dosages on their own without causing harm to themselves. You can't really experiment with hydrocodone the way you can, purple kush. So, you take too much hydrocodone, you'll end up in the morgue. You take too much purple kush, your anxiety or something like that. Okay, you take some CBD, it will bring you down. Okay, next time around, cut your dosage in half or by a quarter or something. So it's very user friendly in that manner.
So what about in the Statehouse? Whenever you're talking to fellow legislators in Indianapolis, what do they typically say to you about it?
Who's the guy on the left in the black shirt there?
That's Chris Guffey.
Chris, they laughed kind of how the way Chris was just laughing right there. They kind of shake their head and they can't believe it because I speak so openly about it, but I'm kind of the canary in the coal mine. I've survived politically, and I didn't go up to the Statehouse for a political career. I went up there to do the right thing, so it doesn't bother me to speak out. And as a matter of fact, that's what we need to do. But we've got a lot of traction on this issue, and when you look at the polls, I'm not a poll-driven person. I'm a right or wrong-driven person. But this issue polls probably higher than any other issue that I know of across the lines. It's not a Democrat issue or a Republican issue. This is a quality of life issue, and people, once they get past the stigma, now and I've said, let me back up. Last year, the two biggest challenges that I saw, number one was stigma. Number two was ignorance. And now that people see that the fear-mongering simply isn't true, and, they are hearing of the benefits. They're educating themselves on the benefits. They're talking to people that have done it and have weaned off of opioids and living a better quality of life. Now stigma, that decreases almost daily. Now it's ignorance, but it's ignorance in a good way because people want to educate themselves on it. So we are just... I'm sorry?
I was just going to say you've been doing your Operation Education on your Facebook page. I've been seeing constant posts from you on there that are trying to educate the citizens on medical marijuana and what it is and why you shouldn't be so scared of it.
Absolutely, and sometimes you wake up at 3 o'clock, my brain won't shut down. I wake up at 3 and I'm like, okay, get on, and I'll research and read and go through emails of all the contacts, and that's another great thing. People that are reaching out to me in the industry, doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals, people that still are a little bit leery. They don't want to come out just yet, but they're feeding me so much information and giving me, really great stories and a lot of support. It is incredible to see the amount of support that's out there. And I really look forward to next session.
So we've been hearing from you, Jim, on the medical side. Anything on the recreational side, or is that a future conversation, kind of a linear one step at a time conversation?
No, I have legislation that takes 30 grams or less down to a D infraction, basically a seatbelt violation. You get caught with it, and but it also sets standards for impairment levels. That's one of the benefits of working with the caliber of people that I've been exposed to. The attorneys out in Colorado, they see what's working in all the other states across the nation that have had the courage to adopt this. So we set a level and we set testing methods, and I spent several hours in the Statehouse today meeting with people in the industry. The technology that's out there, and I want to grit my teeth when I hear we need to study this more. Well, I just met with a group today that's been doing this for 15 years. So what the hell more do we need to study? We don't need to study anything. We just need to adopt what's working and quit making excuses and, jump in there, start saving lives, start giving Hoosiers the option at a better quality of life, over the medication that they're taking today. So leaders need to lead. And that's going to be one of my key factors at the Statehouse is trying to, push people, step up to the plate a little bit, and let's do what's right.
So you mentioned earlier that you're kind of known for two things. One is the cannabis issue. And
yes.
The other thing that you've become known for now is the strong support of the Second Amendment and not regulating the Second Amendment. And
correct.
You got some headlines. We were supportive on our side, but you got some headlines when you said you basically took the language that we used to try to regulate the Second Amendment to regulate the First Amendment. So I want to know, as an upcoming podcast, well, I guess we're media members over here now. What do we have to do to get our official media license from state Representative Jim?
Well, it would be the exact same process that you have to get your license to carry. I mean, you guys have to go get fingerprints taken, do a background check, and pay the state a fee to exercise your constitutional First Amendment right.
So I've got to go. I got to go get fingerprinted at the sheriff's department to be able to run my microphone for public safety.
Yes, and if you screw up, I'm going to take your license away from you. You screw up bad enough, and it's a felony, and I'll never let you near another microphone as long as you live.
Well, what if I own the microphone, Jim, and it's my microphone?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's if you commit a felony, running your gums to the level that it would. Say I wave a loaded gun at you. That's a felony. Nobody was hurt, but it was a stupid action, but that's a felony. I can no longer have a gun, let alone carry a gun. Okay, now you do something irresponsible like tell an intentional lie or slander, somebody. Well, that right there, I want to make that a felony, so now you can never get near a microphone again.
What if I just want a semi-automatic microphone, not a fully automatic microphone?
You can't put a bump stock on it either, so that way you speak fast.
So whenever I was doing all the research and compiling notes and things for this episode, I did look up your licensing of the First Amendment, and the first article that popped up was a USA Today article, and I was like, dang, this got reach.
Oh, that went national. And the coolest thing, and I've had so many cool things. I live life on the edge out there, and I have a lot of fun. But anyway,
you have become the second most famous guy in Indiana from Seymour.
You're probably referring to John Mellencamp?
Yes, that'd be the one.
Well, I'm working on that.
Well, when it's Governor Lucas, nobody's going to remember Jack and Diane.
Well, never say never. But no, getting singled out by Keith Olbermann, and he called me a sociopath. So, that was, I wear that with a badge of honor like you would not believe.
I believe it.
USA Today, I think New York Times picked some stuff up on it, and we had a lot of fun with that. And the coolest thing was, obviously, all jokes aside now, serious, I did that to put things in perspective. And I actually had another draft that took our right to vote, go to church, anything. You had to get a license, but you had to go through the same process that we do with our Second Amendment right. But I wanted to pick on the media for a reason, because so many people in the media are demanding that we enact these common sense gun laws, and they're okay with licensing. So when I had that amendment drafted up, I went into LSA, the Legislative Services Agency. I said, hey, I want you to take the exact same language, the exact same method we use to carry a handgun in Indiana and apply it towards professional journalists.
Did they double take? Did they take you seriously?
They have to. I'm duly elected official, and that's their job to draft it. But people up there kind of know, they know where I'm at. And so I had that drafted, and when I was going to offer it, people went berserk. I opened that up. I was doing a radio show, sitting in with John Kroll, who, John, he and I go round and round the gun issues all the time. And when I point out, I would give $1,000 to have a picture of the look on his face when I showed him. He's like, you can't do that. And I'm like, why not? He goes, it's unconstitutional. I'm like, well, wait a minute now. I use the exact same language that you say is okay for my Second Amendment rights, and I merely applied it to the First Amendment rights. So how has it all of a sudden become unconstitutional? Well, and that went nationwide, and that was funny, like USA Today, and you go back and read those stories, and people, it's funny as hell, the length they went to just absolutely insist that is unconstitutional, but not one person could ever tell me the difference.
Right,
so,
yeah, exactly.
I did it to prove a point, and again, my point's made. Now, is it abhorrent? Absolutely. I mean, it looks ugly in print. I mean, when you see something like that, you talk about something, especially the one, to vote or to go to church, you have to have a license. When you look at that, a special libertarian, a true freedom-loving person, it makes your skin crawl. But
yeah.
Again, the question:
what if somebody gets the idea to actually pass your bill, Jim? You're going to give them ideas now.
Well, but the thing is, when what I want to impress upon people, if we tolerate the licensing or the infringement of one constitutional right, you're putting all the rest of them in play.
Right. Yeah. What's the stop from going to any constitutional right? I think your point was well made, at least for me. Yeah, that was something we talked about that on our show. That was one of the earlier times that you got brought up, was talking about that proposal. And we were like big fans of it. We were hooting and hollering over here in Newcastle.
We talk a lot about Justin Amash on this show and Thomas Massey, and in the Statehouse, it's a lot of Jim Lucas. Your name is well spoken of around here.
That's the best compliment I think I've had in a long, long time.
You have fans in Newcastle, so
good.
If you ever get disheartened, just think of this.
and a very loyal audience over here. All right, so if it won't be Bill 1022, that's what it was last time, but the basically constitutional right to carry a handgun. There are other states that have this in place now. It's not just Indiana trying to be the first state to pass this legislation.
No. Well, Vermont's had it since 1791, and when I called out there and spoke with their police superintendent, of course they grew up with it, and he laughed. Indiana's kind of the laughing stock of the nation on several of these things, but I'm like, hey, I'm trying. Give me a break, dude. And he was very helpful, and I said, how do you determine? Because that was one of the things which we're all in the same boat. We believe in freedom, but I said, help me, counter the argument. If you pull somebody over, how do you know if they're a bad guy? He goes, how do you know now? He said, your little card isn't going to stop somebody from shooting you. Yeah. Which, he didn't tell me anything I didn't know. He'd already confirmed it, but it was really nice to hear somebody, a government official, superintendent of their police force, that spoke such common sense.
Yeah, it's just because someone can pay $75 and get their fingerprints taken at a sheriff's office doesn't make them a good person. Doesn't affect your morality.
No, and you look at the mass shooters. What is over 90% of mass shooters have passed a background check.
Yeah, this is a big one. This is another one that we talked about last year as well. Whenever 1022 was introduced, In the language of it, though, it does mention that unlawful carrying of a handgun is a level 4 felony. One of the things that makes it unlawful is when a person is less than 23 years of age. Why 23?
Why 8? Why? I mean, why? You tell me. That's stupid. I mean, I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17. I went in 0311 infantry. I wanted to just get right in the middle of the fun stuff.
Oh, carry heavy things, huh? Walked at long distances. Yeah, I got you. 11B over here.
I want to be point man. So that was how I'm wired. My thinking is, if you're 18 and you could sign up and offer your life in defense of your country, you're considered an adult, so now you can be charged with felonies. You can enter into contract. You can go to college and, sign up for 6 digits of debt at 18. Why in the hell can't you carry a gun?
I know, because I'm sitting over here. I'm 2 weeks away, I guess, from turning 23. So I'm like, I have my weapons permit right now. So I'm like, wait a minute. What would happen if all of a sudden I've been living on my own for 4 years, and paying my bills, and that's something that's always irritated me as a younger person. Is I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18. I got a full-time job working as an electrician, and so I've been a fully independent adult since I was actually 18 years old. And then it was like, wait, but I can't go buy a 6-pack of beer yet. This is weird.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, and that's what kills me. You move out when you're 18. You can go buy, if you had the financial means to do so, go sign a contract and buy a new, $50,000 truck or something like that. Right. Turn around, and say, hey, I want to, buy this house. So you can enter into a contract and buy a house. So you can do all of that stuff. If you do something bad, you're 18, we're going to charge you with a felony. But you can't defend, so if you can get married when you're 18, you can't defend your wife in your new house with a handgun.
Right. Yeah, it's totally nuts.
Or you can't go out and buy alcohol, but yet you can, hey, we're going to send you overseas to fight in some godforsaken country, where you're going to see your friends, hurt, maimed, or killed, but you can't come back to the States and drink a beer.
So yeah, whenever I was 18, I got really excited, as every 18-year-old does, being excited. I'm an adult now, so I went out and I bought my concealed weapons permit, put in the application, paid this processing fees, and got my fingerprints taken, the whole 9 yards. And then after that got done, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go buy a handgun now because I have my weapons permit. And I remember going to the local gun store here, and they were like, we can't sell you a firearm or we can't sell you a handgun because you're not 21 yet. I said,
yeah,
but I can carry one with me.
You have to steal it. The law says you have to steal it. That's the only way you can do it, Dakota.
God love government. Or, you commit a felony by having a straw purchase made.
Yeah.
But now we're going to throw you in jail because you're 18, so now we can charge you with a felony.
Exactly. It's nuts. I always bring that up because I think that's the weirdest thing, and it's always resonated with me as being one of the strangest things I've ever encountered whenever it comes to government. And I've seen a lot of weird stuff.
Oh, I could tell you stories for days on end.
Once you finish fixing up cannabis and handguns, are you going to make it free for car dealers to be open on Sundays?
You know what? I sold cars for about 5 years, and it's a brutal business, and it's free market being the way it should. Let it happen. There's a lot of people that, when we started selling alcohol on Sunday, the sky didn't fall. The earth didn't implode. That's one of those things. Blue laws just drive me nuts.
It's a prohibition thing, right? I mean, nobody says that you have to be open that day. You can choose. You
don't
can choose
open.
To be open.
I own my own business, and I'm open, 5 days a week. Saturdays by appointment, Sundays rarely, if I have to. But just don't open. I mean, how hard is it?
What's so hard about that?
But you know what? Hey, let's criminalize people. Let's make it a law. You can't sell a car on Sunday.
My favorite thing during the Sunday sales conversations were the people who who didn't realize that the law was so that liquor stores didn't have to open up on Sunday, and they thought it was generally just based around the morality of drinking alcohol, and they're posting things on the internet like, why can't you drunks just go one day without your booze? Like, you don't understand. This isn't what the conversation's about. The conversation is, I should be free to go buy booze whenever I want to because I can, and I'm an American, and that's what I want to do. But then now we can only buy it after noon to 8 p.m.
Yes.
You've got a little bit of freedom. You've got 8 hours of freedom, Dakota. I hope you enjoy it.
Well, it was just a little dose. We don't want to, throw too much at you, all at once. So you can choke on it.
Yeah, then we'd be like Oregon with gas pumps, and we just can't have that here.
There were people out there. I read some of those stories. Just shakes your head, and you're like, "Oh my God, we're doomed."
I have a cousin. Who's in the Coast Guard, and he went from Texas to New Jersey, and he came through town last weekend, or I guess Monday night. And he was telling us the story that they still can't pump their own gas in New Jersey, so they're prohibited. There are official gas station attendants in New Jersey.
Oh, I didn't
know what that pays like.
Well, New Jersey just passed that magazine ban.
Yes.
What is a level 4 felony out there?
Yeah, level 4.
Oh my God! Hey, we're going to lock you up in a cage and take away all. You can't vote. You won't be able to have a firearm the rest of your life to protect yourself and family, because you had this little piece of metal and plastic that held 12 bullets.
Isn't New Jersey also the state that told everyone they had to turn in their bump stocks, and nobody turned in their bump stocks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Jim was mentioning. All right. So here, I ran for the Henry County Council, and as a libertarian, I did not win this last cycle, but we had a good showing. But one of the biggest issues we've been talking about in Henry County, and I know it's been happening all over the state, has been local prison populations and county jails being full. And last cycle or 2 cycles ago, another optional income tax came along for counties. And I know that there were some changes made with level 6s staying in the counties instead of being at the state level. I don't know the counties that are in your district if they've been struggling with this, but I know almost every one of the counties in East Central Indiana has. Do you see the state having a role in the county prison populations and finding a solution for them?
Yes. State Rep Randy Fry is working on a very good piece of legislation right now to help the counties alleviate some of those populations. I mean, that's an issue. Government's a pendulum. There's an issue out there, they'll overreact on it, and then they'll swing back, and the founding fathers were brilliant because they understood history, and they were moral enough to do the right thing regardless of politics. So they left us with a borderline perfect system of government. And the only reason it's not perfect is because, there is a mechanism in there, the amendment mechanism, that we can change it as things move along, but it's very difficult. But they understood that government, by its very nature, tends to just overreact on things, and that's. I think there was some of that happened. It wasn't intentionally. A lot of good-meaning people had a lot of great ideas, but when you apply those ideas to reality, you get some unintended consequences, and that was one of them. So, that's one of the things we're looking at.
So Representative Fry he's got a regional jails bill, which is potentially giving counties the opportunity to come together, or I guess it's not fully. It's not law yet, so we don't know what it's going to look like. But potentially, you would have a regional jail model where they wouldn't all. Wouldn't have 91 jails trying to be built. I know one county doesn't have one. But
there's some state properties that we can make better use of than what they're being used now. So to answer your question, the short answer is yes, that is being worked on.
All right, very good. It's definitely a big issue here. One of the biggest issues in our community.
Sure.
A couple other hot topic ones that we've talked about in Henry County that have driven a lot of public policy. There was I struggle with the name. I don't have it in front of me. There's a Indiana legislator who's talking about removing a 4-mile town buffer zone ordinance ability. It's been popular in the last year in Henry County, where towns have been passing safety ordinances
yes.
to prohibit windmill construction, industrial windmill construction, and wind was the biggest issue in Henry County, in our area, this last cycle, and it's something that the towns have put in place to potentially take property out of the pool for development for industrial wind. Is that on your radar at all? I know in your area you probably don't have a lot of potential. It's more of an eastern and northern Indiana issue than it is southern Indiana.
Not on my radar.
Okay, all right. Well,
but I mean, it's not important. I mean, we don't have the issues that you guys have with that up there, but that will be an interesting discussion to have.
Yeah.
I look forward to.
It's been a developing issue around here, and it is. You never know what's going to come. You end up assigned to certain committees, so you don't deal with every issue. You're serving
Correct.
on. I think you're on you're on. Are you
Education,
on,
public policy, vice chair of government reduction, and then elections and apportionment.
Elections and apportionment.
And
that was the committee that I wanted to ask about as the libertarian third party guy. I kind of took a beating on straight ticket voting this cycle. What can we do to drag Indiana into the 21st century on that? We're one of like the last 8 states that hasn't gotten rid of straight ticket voting.
Why do you hate freedom?
I like freedom. I like people being able to select whatever they want to. But when we got new voting equipment this year, we spent as a county. The clerk spent $800,000 on new equipment. We got it. That you went into the booth. You go through the ballot. And it says pick a straight ticket party, and then if you try to skip it, it gives you an error message that says no, you didn't fill out every form on this ballot. Pick a party. So we went from 25% of the people that took a straight ticket ballot to 60%, and 40% of those took a straight ticket Republican ballot. So it's very discouraging for people that aren't in the whatever the main party side. Whatever party was number one, you're going to have trouble coming up with candidates. You're going to have one party rule. That's my concern.
Yeah, I hate to tell people, hey, you can't vote straight ticket. That bothers me. If people want to vote straight ticket, let them vote straight ticket. But that's one of mine. I have yet to hear an argument good enough to convince me otherwise. That makes sense.
That's a good conversation to have. I don't want to be. It's definitely as we look at it, a lot of states it seems to be where Indiana's become one of the few that has kept it in place.
Sure.
And it's so many. I look at a lot of issues through protectionism, and I feel like it's something intentional or not. It's in Indiana, it's always been that way, so we assume that that's what's appropriate. But when you look around at the rest of the country, you say, well, there's not that many people doing it, and so many of the laws that we have, you think, well, that's probably the way it's always been. I do feel like it's protectionism, whether it was on the Sunday sales issue or on this one. It's you're trying to hang on to power or hang on to authority, and it's not necessarily the legislators are doing that, but donors or influential organizations. We'll put it that way.
Sure.
So, but yeah, that was a stinger for us.
And really that, like the voting machines here, obviously that's a county issue, and it's something that we're trying to raise awareness about through this, and because that's an issue. I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, not to crap on our own parade here, but even the libertarian straight ticket votes went up because of the new software. So whenever that happens, you know that there's an issue with it, and I mean that it was really confusing. I'm a county chairman, for God's sake, and it even threw me off. So
it was definitely different. And you look at the data and you watch the percentage it bounced along, and then there's this huge spike up, and it was software induced. It's a surprise. But there's lots of opportunities for continuing to make improvements in our election system.
Oh yeah, and those are great discussions to have, and that's one of the things I love about the process. If the process is allowed to work,
right.
You get those discussions out there, and you get both sides come to the table and make their case. And I've seen plenty of people change their mind. I've changed my mind, after listening to people. I'm like, you know what? That's something I haven't heard or hadn't thought about. It makes sense. And then you kind of change course.
I just hope that we can get to the point where we have it's not money driven, and it's not this. 2 or 3 different lobbying organizations agreed to something. That's kind of the way Sunday sales felt, where the lobbying groups made their announcement, and then everything fell into place after that because the parties were happy. I really hope that it is individual constituents that can have their say and have relationships with their legislators and other legislators around the state and really affect change at a personal level rather than at through dollars and cents or donations.
Sure, and you know what, and I will honestly say Indiana's very good about that. I mean, the people up there, both sides of the aisle, and there's a lot of different personalities, but everybody up there, their heart, I believe, is in the right place. They want to do the right thing. I'm not going to say that money doesn't influence, certain groups get up, they have a little bit more power than others. But all in all, I can honestly say that I don't believe anybody up there is bought and paid for.
Now,
the way some people say.
We would be derelict in our duties if we didn't ask about the roads. And I know we've had everybody always wants to talk about roads with county government and state government.
Sure.
We've got more money in the coffers now after the increase that came in a couple of years ago. So road funding, everybody thinks is kind of fixed. It just needs time to flow through the process. The governor, there was a study that release came out a couple weeks ago, and the governor said we're not going to toll potential new roads. But I will ask about the future of I-65 and I-70, and if those are going to get to 3 lanes. Do you think that's coming, or do you think that's a 20 years out solution?
I pray to God it's coming because I drive 65 every day to Indy when we're in session, and you get out there and look at the traffic. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that we really do need to add that 3rd lane. I would even go 4th lane in some of them.
Yep.
That's just the way things are now, but that costs money. And I was one of those that voted for the gas tax increase, and I would do it again because every penny of that gas tax increase is to be directed back into roads. So that, to me, that's more of a user fee. And I know libertarians, and I've had this discussion 1,000 times on Facebook. That's one of those things I'd like to see us come to a peaceable truce, if nothing else. But short of
you've been talking to Facebook libertarians, Jim. We're pragmatics over here. No, and the thing about it is, it is a user fee, so it makes it more acceptable, I think, in my eyes. But the biggest deal was, let's take the taxes and the other funding that we supposedly had implemented for roads and make sure that all of that's actually going towards the roads before we raise the taxes again. Was the issue that we had with it.
Like there's the gas tax, which is just the straight gas tax, okay?
Right.
That goes in roads. Then there was the sales tax on gas. That's 7%. That's what was going into the general fund.
Right.
We are converting that eventually within, I think, the next couple of years. 100% of that will be going into roads. That was going into the black hole of the general fund. But what a lot of people, and I typed till my fingers bled trying to explain this to people, you can't just yank that much money out of the general fund at once without causing massive disruption. And to me, that's the responsible thing to do. Does it suck? Is it the way it should be? No. And yes, it does suck. It would be great if we couldn't. But is it the responsible thing to do to all of a sudden cut school funding by $1 billion? Or, the people that have become dependent upon government that need help? No.
Right. You can't just rip the carpet out from underneath them.
Yeah, and that's to me, that's not good government. So be responsible about it. If you're driving down the road going 140 miles an hour and all of a sudden you figure out you're going in the wrong direction, the first thing you do is let off the gas, then you gently apply the brakes. You don't just crank the wheel and try and do a 180.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Jim. I totally agree with that. You
turn that car around, you got to slow down, brake it, okay, turn it around safely, and start heading back in the other direction.
So does the General Assembly have any authority or input over the renegotiation that took place with the Indiana Toll Road? I know there's $1 billion coming into INDOT's budget over the next 3 years for, and I know a portion of that's going to speed up I-69 construction, but I think there's a portion of that that's going to go to rural broadband and a portion of that's going to go to trails instead of roads. Do you guys have some involvement into that, or is there already law that allows the governor's office to just kind of make decisions on that issue?
Yep.
Yeah. And I
mean, that's over my pay grade. We voted on the total bit, and I'm not trying to get out of answering. I mean, I'll answer anything, but I want to be honest about it. That's one of those. The governor has more input on that than pretty much anything.
Yeah, that was something I learned. Kudos to Hammer and Nigel on 93.1. I learned that listening to their show that that's the governor's job. I was like, huh. Well, who knew?
Yeah.
I'm always shocked at how powerful the government is, because you guys can, you can override a veto with the same vote that put it through. You don't need a 2/3 majority or anything. 51 votes, and you say, no, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. It's always a quirk of the Indiana Constitution. I thought, man, he's not as powerful as everybody thinks he is. Obviously, there is a lot of power in the governor's office.
Government that he has the power that he's allowed to have by the General Assembly.
All right, so I think that we've made it through everything on our list. Are you going to be proposing medical marijuana this year?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you already said it. I might have been playing with it.
Dakota was working on the Dakota was playing audio engineer. It was a comedy of errors and everything went wrong. One last thing for Jim I want to talk about real quick. You said you're on the education committee, and I know I watched your Facebook today, and I know Abdul Hakim Shabazz was pulling together some numbers.
I love Abdul,
and he's a good friend of ours on the show. I've been on Abdul's show, and he's a very good friend of ours. Let's talk about school funding. And my wife is a former teacher. She's a lot like a whole lot of folks that went to a 4-year school, got their teaching degree, taught for 2 or 3 years, and said this doesn't pay anything, and it's too much headache, and I'm teaching to a test, and I'm going to go do something else that's going to pay more money. What? This isn't all the state representatives or the state legislators' job to fix, but what can be done for people like my wife to stay in the classroom and not take on tens of thousands of dollars in student loans and go, this isn't the job for me, and I'm getting out because it's not worth it?
I have legislation that I'm going to hopefully it gets a hearing. It's an educational option account, and what it does, it puts the parents in charge of education. I came in 2012, and I asked to be on the education committee. The year I started, a child that started first grade that year will be going into junior high, and we've not made hardly any significant changes. And this is what on Facebook all the time. You have to start with the foundation, seeing where we're at with K through 12. K through 12 gets over half of our state budget every year. That's about $8 billion. Okay, they get about 43% of our property tax, which is a little over $3 billion. We get over $1 billion from the feds, and then we get outside assistance to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Okay, so we're spending all this money on K through 12 for a little over 1 million kids. Okay, so government controls everything about education. We control the funding. We control, we have compulsory attendance. You have to go. We set the standards. We make the rules. We do everything. Okay, so what is the taxpayer getting for that investment? Just on the state money alone, it gets over half. That's 4 times larger than the number 2 agency. Okay, so what we're getting is our 10th graders, kids that have been in our own system for 10 years, only 1/3 of them can pass our math standards. Wow. So what the hell? Okay, yeah. Now we have a system that gets that much money, and the most important people in the system are underpaid. So again, what the hell? So when you look at it, and I actually broke it down. I'm a very simple person. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, so I like things simple. State of Indiana spends about $10,000 a student. Okay, a class of 25 kids, that's $250,000. Okay, the average teacher in Indiana makes $55,000. So let's just take that 55 from the 250. That's $195,000. What the hell are we doing with $195,000 that's left over after we pay the teacher to get the results we're getting?
Yeah. Well, the school teacher makes $40,000 and the administrator makes $85,000.
Well, Indiana is the second worst state in the nation with percentage of our teachers, percentage of our workforce only being teachers. So 38% of our educational workforce are teachers. That means we have 62% that are non-teachers. Okay, in 2005, then Governor Mitch Daniels was, he was fired up because only 60 cents of every dollar made it to the classroom. But he wanted to do something about it. Here we are 14 years later, 57 cents make it to the classroom. So you take a budget, just a state budget of $8 billion, we've gone backwards 3 points. Had we gone forward 3 points, that's $480 million that we could be pumping into the classroom, i.e. teacher raises.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
And here's the thing, and that's not putting one extra penny into the system. People say, oh, we need to put more money in the system. Okay, go tell a taxpayer. Go tell, you can't bring the money cannon out and keep shooting money at this problem, which is what we're doing. And the money's there. It's an alignment issue. The more money we throw at it, the more administration grows. And there was a study done between 92 and I believe 2013. I think the student population increased by about 9%. Teachers actually went up, I think, about 26%. But non-teaching administrative staff went up 46%.
Whoa.
So, it doesn't take a rocket science to say, geez, you think we might be top-heavy here? But, I want to remind everybody that public education is government-run. Anything government-run is going to be inefficient, ineffective, and bureaucratic.
Ain't that the truth?
Government-run education is far and away 4 times larger than number 2 program. It's our biggest government-run program out there. So these are issues that will never go away, never, ever, because it's government-run. The only way to do it, and I'm tired. We've been hearing government school reform for 40 years. For Pete's sake, 1979, the federal government implemented the Department of Education. 40 years later, we're still talking about reforming public education. My approach is quit trying to change it. You're not going to change it. What you do is you give parents the choice and you give teachers free. You force it to compete.
Right.
You simply put the parents in charge. Instead of that state money going into a school corporation, that state money goes into a parent's account that they're in charge of, and they educate their kid in the manner that best suits them. Now, and I've heard all arguments. People freak out. They're like, "Oh my God, what if all the parents pull their kids out of that school?" Okay, right there, number one. Hell, that should tell you something.
Yeah, and that school doesn't deserve it.
What the hell does that tell you about that school?
Right.
But the reality of it is, where are they going to go? The infrastructure simply is not there for hundreds of kids all of a sudden to bail. So, but what you've done is you've introduced competition, okay, but you've also given those public school teachers the freedom and flexibility. Now they can start doing their thing, okay? Right. Now, it'll take probably 3 to 5 years because your private schools out there, they can only absorb so many kids at once, okay? Generally, they're very well run. So all of a sudden, you get a school that has 180 kids in it, they've got a max capacity of 2.25. Bam, they max out the first year. Okay, they're going to have growing pains. It's going to take them a couple years to acclimate to that. Okay, they're not going to all of a sudden just double the size of their school in 1 year. Okay, so now those kids, and let's face it, the majority of the parents out there, they're going to leave their kids in that public school. But now we have competition, we have freedom to where our public educators, our teachers can do something. Because, here's something that either we're the most blessed state in the nation or it's a joke, our teacher evaluations. Okay, Last year, 98% of Indiana teachers were either rated as effective or highly effective. Okay, so one of two things are happening right there. Either 98% of our teachers are effective or highly effective, which tells me, why the hell are we wasting money on a system that grades, where 98% are kicking ass? Or that system is being so manipulated that it's a joke and a waste of money.
Yeah.
So let the teachers teach. But, admin is that's the weed that's choking everything out right now.
I agree. Yeah, totally.
Sorry, I got fired up on
that. No, you're on the education committee for a reason. We're glad you're there and able to help us out.
Yes.
Well, Jim, we thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight. Any final thoughts as to bills you're going to carry, issues you're interested in, people that want to follow you, how to get in touch, and how to watch what you're doing, and maybe catch you at the Statehouse?
Best way to follow session. Session starts January 3rd. Go to the state website. It's iga.in.gov. And you can get on there, and they, in real time, you can watch committee hearings, you can watch chamber hearings, you can see what's going on. It's very, very good website. Get in touch with your elected officials. Tell you, if you don't know who they are, you can type in your address, it'll tell you. I keep a public Facebook page. Fair warning, it's you're on your own. You're on your own. I make no excessive vulgarity, and when people start getting rude, they'll get a warning, but then I block people before. I don't want things getting out of hand. But I
Facebook
like
libertarians, right?
I enjoy a good, robust discussion, but just like our rights, with rights come responsibilities. So act like a responsible adult when you get on there.
Very good. Well, Jim, we can't thank you enough. This has been great. We hope to have you in studio at some point. I know I spend a lot of time down. I spend a lot of time down in your district in North Vernon and in Seymour. I'm a traveling salesman, so I work in the highway construction industry. So I'm down in your part of the world all the time, and I always enjoy getting down there. And we, as we said before, you got a lot of fans up here on this show, and we watch what you're doing real close, and we appreciate you being on.
Well, I'd love to come up. I'm buying the first round when I come up.
There we go. We might have a tap installed by the time you get here.
Maybe.
We're getting serious.
I'll bring a pillow and a change of clothes then.
There you go. Well, Jim, thank you very much, and we wish you nothing but the best in the session.
Thanks, guys. Keep in touch.
All right.
Yep.
Take care.
All right. And we will let Jim's call disappear, and we will debrief all of the things that went terribly wrong as we had Jim on the phone.
I'm pretty sure my mic was off for most of that.
So what happened? We'll fill people in.
What, did you see Jeremiah just take mine?
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah,
it.
he stole yours. I was like,
F you, Chris.
well, if he's not going to have a mic, I'm just going to push mine to the side.
So your mic didn't die. I think what happened is we were getting comments in the chat saying nobody could hear Jim. And Dakota will weigh in as to what actually fixed it. I assume that our iRig or the equivalent of our iRig died.
No. It's a... Okay, so that's not what happened because the people could still hear us, right?
Right.
So I could see our levels on the Mevo screen. So I knew that it wasn't the Saramonic, which is which is the converter that takes the audio from the board to the iPad for the video. So I knew that wasn't the problem, and that the audio just wasn't getting to it just wasn't coming through from the laptop. So I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. It was a combination of a lot of things. So
we tested this. We went through this like at 5:30 this afternoon. You called me and we felt good.
Well,
we are prepared.
We tested
for the audio.
it I tested on the podcast side.
Oh, we didn't test the
I
video.
couldn't get the Mevo to work until like 15 minutes before we started.
Till we
right?
updated the Mevo.
The magical update.
Right. So it was a combination of a lot of things. The monitor output was way low. The USB through button wasn't turned on. USB level was too low, and then the laptop volume was too low as well.
And then once we finally got the audio fixed, we think Jim had the audio turned up on his side, and then I figured out that we had like 5% volume on the laptop, so we were also feeding problems back through.
Right.
So we're getting there.
Yeah.
By the time we get to episode 200, we're going to have this scienced out. We don't do a lot of phone calls around here. I think that's only about the third or fourth time we've done a phone call on the show.
Dakota, you drank your beer really fast.
I know. I asked if he wanted another one.
I sat down and I was like,
I was bartending for everybody.
and I was like, Chase.
Every time you were going over there, I was sneaking a sip.
No, I sat down and I had like a full one. Whenever I first started, I came back and there was like 4 drinks left.
You know you can't leave a drink around me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chase has a problem.
I could be Bill Cosby so easy.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So, so that was
it was a
profile.
good episode. Like if you're listening on the audio only side, then you're not going to have an issue hearing Jim. You might hear us get quiet at points because I think you turned down the side recorder volume.
I tried a number of things because we were peaking on there, and then at some point we turned everybody down to try to. Jim came up and we went down. So then that's when Chase thought his mic was off, and I thought my mic was off.
Yeah.
And
I threw mine to the side. I was so angry.
The one time Chase tried to talk and he was turned off.
I was like, okay, well, and then you leaned over to me and you said, Jim is loud now, and no one and everyone else is quiet.
I could hear the feedback, and I was like, my earphones are so loud.
Yeah.
So
my
when
mic can hear it.
When that turned up, it pegged our ears, and at some point, about 5 minutes in, we've got a new table. Libby Potter sent us a table about a month ago, and Dakota took our headphone amp and he put it underneath there.
Yeah,
and it was held on. No, it's not right now. It was held on there by Velcro, but it was stuck on just with these little adhesive dots on the bottom. It was just on the dots that keep it off the ground from getting hot.
You ripped it off, didn't you?
So it fell all by itself. I didn't have anything to do with it.
I thought everything just crashed at that point.
And it fell down to the ground. And poor Chase's headphones got unplugged. So Chase is sitting
literally
there like,
I don't hear anything. And I'm like, you killed it.
And I look at Chase and his headphones are around his ears. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with Chase? And I looked and he was unplugged. So I've got him plugged in, and now the headphones are every cable is perilously tied tight, and they're sitting on a can of mixed nuts underneath the table.
Sure. Oh my God.
So we are getting so close. Things to get better every week in the studio. Things get better. You've got new sound tiles up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have, if you're watching the live stream, we have new mic stands. We have beautiful mic stands. We don't have to be hunched over, leaned on the table. These are 360-degree, multiple position mic stands.
Yeah, I can
like a real radio studio.
Lean back as far as I want.
You can go anywhere you want to go.
This is nice.
I'm
not gonna lie, the studio looks pretty badass.
I just need an ottoman now, and I'm good.
Need somewhere to put your shoes.
If you're watching right now, then you probably notice that the echo really isn't that bad, and it's because Jerry Williams bought us a bunch of corner tiles,
and we got motivated enough. Dakota got motivated enough over the weekend that you put up all these tiles.
Yeah.
Or you did it this week. You did it Tuesday night.
Yeah,
you want to look fancy for Jim.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, Jim. So, and Jim was going to come today. We originally had it. Dakota's been in negotiations trying to get Jim on the show. Negotiations, hoping and praying. And Jim said yes to appear. And then he had some stuff with the day job came up, and then he was at the Statehouse today. And then I think he looked at the map and said, "Oh my God, Newcastle is not next to North Vernon or anywhere in his district." So we did it as a phone interview, and it was great to have him. Mm-hmm. But it turned out fine. And then today I got the text. Tom Saunders, our state representative, Chase. Do you know Tom?
Oh, I think I've met him.
Yeah. He's going to be on the show. He's been on before, about a year ago. So he will be on next Thursday night. And Chris Spangle, the leader of We're Libertarians, is going to appear as well.
Rough.
And so it'll be Dakota, Chris Spangle, myself, and State Representative Tom Saunders.
Ooh.
And we're going to do another legislative preview. So Jim has the issues he's concerned about, and obviously Tom knows the local issues here. He served since, I think Tom was elected in 96 or 98. I don't remember off the top of my head. Chase will look it up, and he'll know.
So, Jer.
Yeah.
Ask me why I'm wearing my sweater again.
So you are wearing your ugly sweater, your ugly Christmas sweater.
Yes.
The Bears.
My ugly Chicago Bears Christmas
that
sweater.
we established on the show. You stole from somebody.
I did. I stole from my little cousin. He left it at the house. But I mean,
he can't be that little. You're the same size. It's his sweater.
Don't say stole. You borrowed it without the consent of returning.
You're storing it without charging him for the storage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, I am wearing it because Christmas is coming early this year. The Chicago Bears play the Green Bay Packers. And if we win, we clinch the NFC North.
The NFC North with Mitch Trubisky.
Yes.
Your guy.
Are you the best defense in the NFL?
And Mac, your boy Mac. The Colts got a pretty good defense right now, honestly.
We would wreck your.
I'm pretty happy. Maybe in the Super Bowl.
If our defense met your defense in an alley,
Dakota,
we'd rape you.
Oh, I thought Dakota was getting ready to drink an O'Doul's. I was going to break it to him, but it's a brown and white label like O'Doul's Amber is, but it's a Worcester Dunkel.
Worcester Dunkel.
I don't know if I like that one, Dakota.
It's the best Dunkel that I've had around here anyway.
So, fantasy football, Chase. You and I have been in the league.
Yeah,
all year.
you fucked me. Jer.
Okay, now another explicit edition.
Dang it!
No. Jim already hit that.
Come on, man.
I'm just saying. Okay, we had the same record.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's only a 4-person playoff.
Right.
What the heck is that?
You get 4 people.
I should be in there, Jer. I would whoop that ass.
You were
Listen
in
to
the
him,
consolation.
dropping the F-bomb and then saying, what the heck?
Now, Chase is in the consolation bracket, the loser bracket in the Morrell and
So
Other
get
Fantasy
this,
Football League.
okay? There's 14 people in this league, right?
Yes.
Yes, explain.
Only 4
They're
people
getting
in the
fired up. I
playoff.
had to turn the game down.
Only 4 people in the playoff.
Huh?
I have the same record as Jeremiah, and he's number 4. I'm number 5.
I snuck in.
It's bullcrap.
I got the most points of anybody.
Did he have more points for? Or
Yeah, I had the most. I scored the most points in the league.
It shouldn't
I just had some
matter.
bad losses.
It should be at least a 6-person league.
how you gonna do 6?
Or, a 6-person playoff.
How you gonna do that? Though?
You're starting to sound like
So we're losers.
most of the leagues
Georgia
like
play in.
you're starting to sound like a Georgia fan. Would it be a Georgia fan this year?
Yeah, Georgia.
Oh, okay. It really should be an 8-person
No.
playoff for that.
No,
though.
Ohio State.
Or an
Six,
Ohio State
right?
fan? Yeah, you're starting to sound like an Ohio State
Is
fan.
this,
fine.
is this fantasy league for money?
No, but still,
it's just-
I'm just saying. I had a great team. I went 9-5, and I got screwed.
Yeah, but you didn't score enough points.
Yeah, you should have.
Doesn't
My
matter.
father-in-law Kevin
I
won
won
2 more
enough.
games than me, and he scored 200 points less. He's
I
the number
won
1
enough.
seed.
It shouldn't matter how many points he scored. All that should matter is that W.
But you're the same. So where's
Yeah,
the
what's the
tiebreak?
tiebreaker?
We should play this week.
Ooh.
Thumb wrestle me, Jer.
I'll thumb wrestle you.
Oh.
Rock, paper, scissors.
On shoot. No, rock paper scissors spot.
Okay. No, I have 4 leagues. I made the playoffs in 2 of them. I got screwed in 1 league, and then I just sucked in another league.
So you got screwed in my league.
Yeah, I got screwed in your league.
There's always next year, Chase.
I'm just saying next year we should move it to 6 teams, like most leagues.
All right. So we were, as Dakota walked away to get his dunkel, we were talking. We previewed next week. Tom Saunders is going to be our guest. Chris Spangle's going to be on, and then we are going to do a bonus Christmas edition episode.
That's right. And I have a Christmas present for you.
I have a Christmas present for you. It won't be awkward. We both got gifts for each other.
Yeah.
So excited. You followed the $1,000 limit, right?
Yeah.
Nothing over $1,000.
Pretty closely, anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
$9.99.
Yeah.
All right.
95.
And we'll invite all the pros. So Tom will come in. We'll do the show 7:00 as normal, and then after that's over, it'll be the Boss Hog of Liberty Christmas party. Patreon people
only.
Patreon people are the only ones that are going to get the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
That's it. So if you want to see that, if you want to be in, you got to join the Patreon.
Last year's was a lot of fun, too. It was a good one.
We had a state representative on the show. So if you came for Jim in the political talk and that's it, sign out now. But I'm going to roll over here and Dakota, you can explain your Christmas.
I have it zoomed in on it right now, so
it's
hopefully they can see the little Easter egg that's been hanging on the door.
That is, I'll explain it. That is skywriting from the United States military.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
There's a Christmas ornament on the back wall that Dakota hung.
Okay.
It's well hung.
It's a very phallic shape.
It's very well hidden.
And it is from whenever the Air Force drew the male genitalia in the sky.
Nice.
It's a wooden engraving of that moment. There's a plane and everything. Pretty good. I laughed so hard whenever I got it. It was good.
I bought that.
I was almost in tears.
Oh,
I
is
bought
that the
that
one
for
from
Dakota.
last year?
Yeah, that was last year's Christmas
Okay.
present. I bought that for Dakota, and he got me a gift card for Steak and Shake.
Yeah, I went serious with
appropriate.
Jer. I was like, yeah, I'll give you a gift, man.
How was Steak and Shake though? You had to wait like 45 minutes though.
I went, yeah,
I love steak
and it was
shake,
wrong.
though.
45 minutes and a piece of hair.
I got the Steak and
Hey,
Shake,
it still tastes
and
delicious.
then I either
Extra
used the
protein, I
gift
guess?
card completely, or it never worked and it was never activated. I think
Oh.
Dakota may have stolen a gift card from Walgreens and then given it to me.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and never had it activated. I'm thinking that's what happened, but I can't prove it. And then I did get a haircut from MVP back in the day when Councilman Clay was a friend of the show. He wasn't too busy with all of his jobs, being a county councilman and being a public school counselor and being a barber. He used to have time for us and would send us gifts. Now I hardly even get him. This haircut isn't even a Clay.
Oh.
It's from his shop, but it's not a Clay.
Clay hasn't been cutting my hair since even whenever he was full time there.
All right, so your haircut is kind of the elephant in the
Traitor.
your haircut is the elephant in the room.
Why? We've already discussed it.
It's a beautiful.
I like it.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Chase.
It is
You kind of look like Elvis.
It's getting very tall.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Are you going to
That's why
go
you think
like
that
all
is.
the way back with it?
Yeah, eventually. Well, okay, so what's got to happen is the sides got to grow out where the part's always been.
Dakota's
So
got
that
a
area's
pompadour
gotta
going
grow
on.
out.
I mean, it is like 1.5 inches tall now.
I wonder if I could do that.
I don't know if it's that tall.
You're using product?
Oh, it's definitely I'd say at least 3 inches.
I bet that's what you tell your girlfriend, isn't it?
Sorry, Katie.
No wonder she's always backing into cars.
At the beginning of the podcast, I noticed the candy canes,
Mhm.
and I was very tempted. And I was like, I'm going to see if I can eat every one of those candy canes by the end of the show.
Did your arms get too short?
I ate like 3 of them, and I was like, all right, that's enough.
Too much sugar.
It was too much sugar.
I tried to do something similar by drinking all of the beer that was here, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I drank Dakota's beer. I drank my beer. I haven't tried this new one, though. I don't know if I'll like it,
The
Dakota.
Dunkel. All right, so
You just said that you liked it.
Let him try it.
he's drunk.
Dakota. Just let him try it.
I'm not drunk.
So it's important to note we're giving I'm going to give scorecards tonight. Chase, you get an incomplete because you never talked at all when Jim was here.
I did not talk one time, okay? But in my defense, I thought my mic was off for at least 80% of it.
We need to cut this back portion of the show off for the people who came to listen to
No,
Jim.
we warned them that when Jim's gone, they'll drop off, and now it's just our people. Now it's just the Boss Hog fans. That's why this conversation is here, and we didn't make Jim sit through it on the front end.
Yeah.
You know, there were a couple questions I want. For one thing, I liked what he was saying about the pot. I liked it a lot. He seems like my kind of guy.
Were you surprised to hear that he went to Colorado and tried everything he could?
I would party with that guy.
I really was surprised to hear him be like, yeah, I tried. And
How
I
open he
like,
was? Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised, but it was very refreshing.
He's a small business owner, so he reports to himself. So what does he care?
I'm Jim Lucas, and I like to party.
All right, Chris, you got anything for us?
As far as what?
I don't know. You got any final thoughts?
No. not really.
You're challenging Cade.
Yes.
We talked about that in the Patreon in the thing that's in
It's
the
going
Patreon
down.
feed.
It's going down.
I got $10 that he lasts a minute.
1 minute. How many rounds are you going to go?
Dog, I don't know.
It's a championship fight, 5 rounds.
5 rounds, 5 minutes?
Yep.
That's a lot, dude. And I have not done
You're
any
not going to
cardio.
last that long. I just need you to last a minute.
You got to find somebody to take that.
Yeah,
bet
you got to
first.
you got to bet Danny or somebody.
Jer.
Wait a minute. I got to bet against my boy Guffey for $10.
Yeah, dude.
So if he takes a dive, I could give him half, and
That'd be
just take
20.
your money.
My pride's for sale here. we can do this.
I watched Sergeant Bilko. I love that movie.
Yes.
with Steve Martin.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it.
What?
Oh, I've got Chase.
Dakota, have you
Casinos.
seen it?
Chase, you know what we're gonna do?
Sounds like an old movie. It's
I was
Steve
going to
Martin.
act like I had seen it, and then I realized Dakota probably hadn't seen that movie when he said Steve Martin.
You guys need some moviecations over here.
Steve Martin and the late Phil Hartman are in this movie, and it's and Dan Aykroyd. They're in the
Okay.
Army. It was a major bust. Nobody saw it in the theaters. And so he's a sergeant in the Army. He runs the motor pool, and he runs gambling on everything.
Yes, he does.
There are bets. He's got a casino in the motor pool. It's amazing. And Phil Hartman is the foil. So, yeah, you and I are going to go to Chicago. We're going to ride together.
Okay.
And I'm going to, the in-flight movie will be Sergeant Bilko. We'll make
All
the
right.
women drive, and you and I are going to watch it in the back seat.
Sounds good to me.
All right. It's a date. It's a mandate. Dakota's going to have to watch in the Buick behind us.
Yeah, it's got Android Auto, so I can do anything I want to.
There you go. All right. So I'm going to be like Sergeant Bilko and take money on it and fix the game. All right. So Chris, you're going to do that. You're taking one for the team. Do you want a key for this place, or are you just going to say the hell with it?
No, don't give me no key. I don't want that.
Not doing it.
No, man, I can get the Wi-Fi in the parking lot, so I don't need to even come inside.
All right. If that's what you want out of life.
That's all I want out of you guys.
All
It's your Wi-Fi.
So
I've already got it.
Look at final thoughts from Dakota.
Final thoughts from me. I want to thank Jim Lucas for coming on. I've wanted Jim to come on for a really, really long time. Looking forward to the next time that we have him on. Hopefully after the legislative session to talk about what all happened, what he's feeling to come through the committees and everything. So, looking forward to that episode. Also looking forward to having Tom Saunders come on next week. That'll be a great episode. Looking forward to picking his brain to see what he's going to be introducing for us, his constituents, and just incredibly thankful that this podcast has gone on long enough that we've been able to talk to both of these people.
That is, there are 150 people that are legislators in the state of Indiana. We've now had 4 of them on this program.
That's right.
We're getting there.
Yeah, and we need to get.
We need like a big list. Like Stephen Colbert had when he had his show, he filled in the map of every congressional district, and when he had the person, he did the sit down with them, he filled them in.
We need to do that.
I think we need a map.
That would be great.
That would be pretty cool.
We need a map of all the state rep districts and state senate districts, and we just start filling them in.
So that would look good, really good, right on the sound tile wall right there. Yeah.
Maybe that's what we're going to do.
All right.
Hey,
I like that idea a lot.
Have you ever heard of Updog?
What's up, dog?
I've been doing that to everyone at work.
How are you?
I thought of it.
That's a dad joke. Is Katie pregnant?
Chase is 14 again.
No.
Everybody.
No, I thought about it the other day, and I was like, man, I remember in elementary school, and it used to be really cool. So I've been trying it at work, and everybody hates me.
Because they already know the joke, or
Everyone knows it.
Yeah, everybody knows
it's
that joke.
ridiculous.
We were all 14 once.
here you go.
I do want to, one other final thought. I want to say thank you to Jerry Williams again for getting us the sound tile, the corner tiles. I've been looking forward to those for a while. And there is only one, well, technically 4 items.
Yeah, the mic flags.
Yeah, that's the only thing left in our Amazon wish list.
So,
all of our fans have come together. They've come through for us and ordered everything that was on there. We want
False. I still haven't got my sweatshirt.
What sweatshirt are you talking about?
The sweatshirt I wanted, Dakota.
I don't know what it is. Did you put it on the Amazon wish list?
I told you to put it in the wish list.
No, you need to put it on there. You have the Amazon login. Come on now, man.
All right, it'll be on there next week.
All right, but we have mic flags left. They're the little things that go on the microphone right here.
So what will happen is we are going to look so professional. We've got the mobile set up.
Yeah.
So we can literally go out with our microphones and the mic flags on, and they'll say Boss Hog of Liberty, and we can do a stand-up out on the street and look like we are the Boss Hog of Liberty news crew once we get the mic flags.
It'd be awesome. So that's the only thing that's left. Thank you to everyone that's bought everything off of the Amazon wish list. It's been a great big help to us as we've gotten settled into the new location. So also thank you to everyone who's on the Patreon. And special thank you to all those that are at the $50 mark right now. So we love the heck out of you folks.
All right. Looking forward, Tom Saunders is next week. On the 27th, we have Justin and the boys from Juice in the Morning. Dakota and I spent Sunday night on the Juice in the Morning podcast in Indianapolis.
That's right.
They are the second-rated podcast. They're not as good as us. They're second.
Well, I don't think they had this much trouble, did they? They didn't have this much trouble.
Are we talking about orange juice or apple juice?
What trouble are you talking about? You're talking about the audio trouble?
Yeah, I don't think they have that kind of trouble.
So whenever we got there,
let's not make it sound like they're terrible.
No, they
they suck really bad.
They had a 4 mic setup, right?
Okay,
just like we do.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't know how to add a 5th, and we thought that our USB mic would work. It didn't.
They have a
Jeremiah
very small
and I
board.
It took them like 3 hours to figure out.
They have a very small board.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen,
we
have a great big board.
So
our board
this is
much
the biggest
bigger.
board ever.
Dakota and
Everyone
I
keeps telling me
had my dream and Dakota's nightmare.
Yes, I saw a brief minute of that.
We shared a microphone.
Yeah,
you could see the back of my new haircut.
You saw my bald head.
Does that mean
I was a very unflattering position for the top of my head?
Does that mean you guys are married now?
Not yet.
We have very intimately shared a microphone on the Juice in the Morning podcast.
Justin Kelly,
our breaths cross streams.
Justin Kelly was running the soundboard there, and he did a great job of keeping the audio levels at a level to where you could hear both of us pretty well, but also you could hear a big echo in the room. So,
yep, he did a good job. So we're gonna have him on, and check out their podcast. They're a lot of fun. I joined. They don't have Patreon, but they do. I did join them at $1 a month to support it. I enjoy their show a lot. Jesse Riddle, who's you've heard on the show at least 3 or 4 times now. He's on there quite a bit, and so is another Knightstown guy, Mark Foltz. So check that podcast out. A lot of fun. They're very irreverent. Definitely earmuffs. We're PG-18. They're just straight up rated R.
Yeah, I drop the F-bomb occasionally, only when Jer really pisses me off.
Right, when I deserve it.
Yes.
And then the next show, we're finally getting a sequence. Like we've got shows on the calendar. we came out of the election and we were whipped tired.
Yeah, we were.
And we were going, we got to do a show Thursday.
It's like,
who we got on? Who's coming on?
Now it's starting to like mellow out.
Now it's better. We've got a plan.
Back to the normal chaos.
So the first week in January, Liam Perino is scheduled. Liam has no idea who the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast is, but I found Liam through the Espresso Boys.
Another
Ben
Italian.
and Joey. Yes. Apparently, I found all of the Italians. He's originally a New Yorker, just like me. He's from the Hudson River up north of the city, south of Albany. And he has, if you look him up on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram.
Is he sexy?
Well, Chase, you'd be a better judge than I would be. Liam is a very funny guy. And he is taking a one-man audition to become the next co-host of Catfished. So I think that has to be a Chase Peyton edition of the show.
Chase really likes the show.
So he's been catfished before?
No, he wants to be the co-host. Apparently they're losing a co-host.
Oh, so he
has been absolutely running. He's been killing Instagram hard, making videos, putting out Twitter, trying to audition to be the next co-host.
I give this guy a nice handshake.
So Liam is Liam won a contest. Somehow the Ben Polizzi, he had Liam won a contest that they put out a couple months ago.
Is he as sexy as Ben?
I don't know if anybody is. I mean, honestly,
that'd be hard to beat.
That's true.
I saw Ben in the Hammer and Nigel car wash commercial that was filmed in the parking lot of the Antelope Club. I don't know if I know a single person that could compete with Ben in that department.
I remember having those guys on the show and just thinking, these guys are way cooler than we are.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
10 times cooler, but we have our own
they
studio
came
now.
in
So
our
suck on
studio,
that.
so they were jealous of us.
True.
Don't you hold your head down.
Get on our level.
They said that we were living their dream.
Exactly. As they take the elevators into the Emmis Tower
Yeah.
to go to their day jobs. And
I'll trade you.
No, you wouldn't. Don't say that. The day job will hear that and they'll go, you go work there then, son.
I'll go work there. Hey,
if they'll
offer
hire
me
you.
a contract. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
All right. Congratulations over there to Tony Katz, too. Tony works for those guys, and he just got syndicated. He got picked up in Lafayette. So,
hey, Jer.
Friend of the show, Tony
What do you
Katz.
want most for Christmas?
What do I want for Christmas? World peace.
BS. What do you really want for Christmas?
When you get married next year, you'll find that you registered for everything you could possibly want. So there is really not a material possession I want,
I didn't ask
Chase.
what Sarah wanted for Christmas. What do you want for Christmas?
We're out of things that we want. I don't want anything.
Did you hear him say we?
I
That
don't.
we out of your head, that's collectivism. Sounds like communist propaganda to me.
I want mic flags for the show. That's what I want. That's what I want for Christmas.
That's not what I got you. But I got these sweet mic arms.
Those are cool. Yeah, I need nothing, Chase.
Jer, when we go on the Chicago trip, will you spoon with me one night?
Yeah.
I asked for a
Sweet.
Yeah, listen, we got 3 separate bedrooms, but we didn't say who was staying in what bedroom. So if you want the girls to stay together and you just have to tell me if I'm big spoon or little spoon.
All right.
You can switch it up.
You'd be surprised. I'm a really good little spoon. Mike Morrell's is in the chat. He wants to know if you're getting married next year for sure.
Oh, definitely not. Maybe the year after that. I don't know. We'll see.
2020?
I'm feeling generous.
2019 is the
Kind of sounds like Gary Busey.
Oh man.
all right. Have we done enough?
We've done way more than enough, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
We're at an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been fun.
It has been a lot of fun.
This is awkward ending now tonight.
Did you guys hear about the guy who said he was going to blow up the bathroom in a restaurant and he got arrested?
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Two things we have to two final thoughts.
Okay.
Truly.
All right.
Okay.
We had a winner in the poll.
Oh yeah.
The deer is named.
You let me down, folks.
It's Mac.
I wanted
Mac.
John Chow.
I voted John Chow.
Ooh.
It was Mac.
Absolutely.
Mac is the winner. And
With Jeremiah's stupid idea of Mac.
check out. I'm very popular. Very popular. And check out We Are Libertarians, the main page. They did a great job. I'm about halfway through it. It's over a 3-hour podcast, but Tad and Spangle did the history of impeachment.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
The Democrats are taking charge of the House, so look for potential impeachment to be coming Trump's way in January, at least some talk of it. So it's a great primer, depending upon which side of the pond you're from.
Wait, we still have to impeach Obama.
Yeah, that's probably as late as your homework. I don't know if that's coming or not. So anyway, check that out. Check out our benefactors.
This episode of Boss Hog of Liberty has been sponsored by Pornhub.com.
God, Jim, I hope you hung up a long time ago and didn't come back and listen to the whole thing. Chase is being suspended from the show. Chase is being suspended for at least the next 30 seconds.
Oh no!
Tom's gonna cancel next week.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at WeAreLibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to WeAreLibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeAreLibertarians.com.